Hey there guys, Panobi here bringing you the second part of my 1-year sub special. In this segment I'm going to be going over questions that you guys asked me that are relating to Pokemon, which of course is relevant because it is the most prominent set of series on my channel. And yeah, hopefully it'll be fun. You guys can find out some stuff about me, you can share some stuff about you in the comments, we can all talk about it, have some fun, and all that kind of stuff. So let's just go ahead and get it underway. I have a bunch of questions lined up from you guys here on my little word to go ahead and knock out. The first of which is, what is your favorite Pokemon? Now this is a question that I've actually answered on my Facebook fan page. If you guys haven't been able to get around to checking it out, I'll leave a link as always in the description where you can check it out. But there's a discussion section on the Facebook fan page, and one of the discussion topics that I posted is what is your favorite Pokemon from each generation, in which I go over my own answer. And the answer to this specific question, what is my favorite Pokemon of all time, is gotta be Hypno. Hypno, I know he gets a lot of slack for pedophile jokes, and I'm a big Sharpedo fan too, and of course because of the name, Sharpedo does as well. But Hypno and I just go way, way back. He was just a badass all along, back from Pokemon Red or Blue, if that was the version that you had. And yeah, I mean, I used him in my Fire Red. I used him, I've used him over and over. He's just so awesome. He's in NU, which is the tier that I most prominently play. He's a special monster. Some refer to him as the Blissey of NU. He is just such a complete and utter badass. Gotta love him. He also has the correlation with One Piece. I'm a big One Piece fan. It's my favorite manga/anime series. And he's similar to the character Django. Not that I'm a particular Django fan, but just the correlation to One Piece also strengthens that bond for me. And yeah, I think that Hypno is just pretty much a complete and utter boss. So I figure I'm just going to go ahead and elaborate on this question, which is, I'm just going to go ahead and name off my favorite Pokemon from all of the regions, even though I've already named Hypno as my favorite altogether, which of course is from the Kanto region, which is Gen 1. So for Generation 2, also known as Johto, my favorite is going to have to be Gligar. I mean, you can see from this video right now, I'm a big Gligar fan. You can see it on my profile page, although you can also see Hypno as well. And Gligar is just fucking bananas, you know what I'm saying? He gets shit done. He's got that awesome defensive typing. He's just a complete and utter just fucking boss. I mean, if you look at Gligar, he's the one that looks like he should have the prankster ability, just saying. But regardless, moving into Gen 3, which is Hoenn, I'm going to have to list Blaziken. Now, Hariyama is a really close second for me because I'm a big Hariyama fan. I mean, if you watch Scott and Rick vs. the World, you know Hariyama is a freaking monster. I love Hariyama's Pokemon design, his move pool, the fact that he gets Whirlwind, his ability, his defenses. I think that he's my favorite fighting type Pokemon. I think that he was just utilized really, really well. I mean, I should say favorite fighting, not counting Blaziken, wow. But I have to go with Blaziken. It came out during a time for me where I was always thinking to myself, I would love it if in the next Super Smash Bros. Game they put Blaziken in there as one of the Pokemon, because how badass would that be? Instead of having, Mewtwo or Lucario with their energy ball really slow paced, you had a really fast kick-based, Blaziken character. That just seemed so awesome to me, and it worked really well with the melee mechanics of shuffling and stuff in my mind. And yeah, I have to go with Blaziken. Even though Hariyama is such a close second for me, Blaziken is just, he's pretty much awesome as hell. And he's, kind of human-esque, but not in the annoying lack of creative way, but in the cool way. So for Gen 4, which is Sinnoh, I'm going to have to go with Dusknoir, or Dusknoir, or however you want to pronounce it. I'm a big Dusknoir fan. He was on my very first Pokemon team that I ever made competitively, which was an OU team, even though I don't really play OU. Back when my team had a Gladiator Beast nickname theme, which I should make another team with a Gladiator Beast nickname mechanic, but he was the Hoplomus. He was my physical wall, and he just was just awesome. He has amazing character design. I guess that's more of a manga anime term, but he has awesome Pokemon design. I really like it. Great stats. He's defensive, which matches my playstyle. And yeah, I'm just a really big Dusknoir fan. And then for Gen 5, which is Innova, once again, if you follow me on my Facebook fan page, I posted a picture of him. The answer is, of course, going to be Simisage, or Simisage, or whatever. I'm going to say Simisage. And he is just freaking really, really funny, but he's also really cool. It's just kind of, if you saw what I look like in real life, or if you know me in real life in any degree, I kind of have a cowlick, and it reminds, he's like a caricature of myself in Pokemon form in my mind. Like, he just has these really exaggerated features, like the hair and the ears, and he's got the whole thumbs up thing. And monkeys are my favorite animal, which I think is actually a question in the next segment, but altogether, just a big fan of Simisage. So, one question down. Busting into the next question, it's kind of reiterative. That's not even a word, I don't think, but I don't give a fuck. What is your favorite team not competitive? So, if the team is not competitive, then I think of it as just asking my favorite 6 Pokemon, which technically I didn't really just list my favorite 6 Pokemon because they have the region constrictions. But just to not be completely repetitive, I'm just going to throw some of my other favorites into the mix. Crobat. I'm a huge Crobat fan. I love Crobat. Crobat is just like, he's one of my favorite Pokemon. I'm a really big, really big proponent of Crobat badassness. Empoleon. I'm a big Empoleon lover. I think Empoleon is one of the coolest Pokemon, for sure, as well. I'll say Hariyama, since Hariyama didn't really get counted in my favorite 6 of the regions. Though that's definitely 3. Venusaur. Even though Venusaur is, he's not really my taste competitively, but I mean, he just because the UU tier is so hoary with Venusaur, but he was my first starter, and this kind of answers another question that was on the list, which is, he's the most nostalgic Pokemon to me because Bulbasaur was my very first starter, and I remember when I first got Leaf Green, I just went through the entire game just with Venusaur, and yeah, just definitely have to pick Venusaur. So that's Venusaur, Hariyama, Crobat, and Empoleon. To name 2 additional pokes, Sharpedo, for sure. Sharpedo is just a monster. I loved him way before the 5th gen speed boost ability. I used him in all my 4th gen NU teams almost, not quite, but just about. And he's just such a good revenge killer, so potent, amazing with the priority, good for mixed sweeping, and he's a boss. So really have to, and I love coming in on those psychic immunity. And I'll go with Licky Licky as my last. Obviously, like this, it was already pointed out, but this isn't competitive. But I like Licky Licky. I think Licky Licky is really cool. Actually, Licky Tongue is kind of cooler in my mind, but Licky Licky and Licky Tongue are both really awesome, and they have really great base stats, and they're really underestimated. And even though this wasn't a competitive related question, I just kind of have a soft spot for them, so I'll have to go with that. Do I use Pokemon online? That is a question that was asked. I actually don't really, but I do technically have it. I actually just recently downloaded it again. I had downloaded it once just to see what it was about a long time ago. As soon as, for those of you that were in the community at the time, the shift from Shoddy to PO kind of happened. I downloaded PO just to see what it was about. And it's not really my thing. I'm really big on the animations, even though that seems like so petty or aesthetic, and it should be more about the skill and the, competitiveness. I just really like the DS experience. I'm used to cranking my music and playing the DS and just doing my thing. And the thing with PO is that it's really fast-paced, and the fast-pacedness of it kind of makes it a little bit less fun to me. It makes it feel kind of rushed and all that kind of stuff. So I'm much more of a DS person. I also like this system of arranging battles more on the DS and things like that. But that's just me. So next question. Who do you still want to battle? I actually thought that was a really cool question in the sense that it was unique to me. I hadn't really thought about who I want to battle. I mean, I see those guys that have like the people I want to fight list. I know Quandran66 does, and some other people. They have this list of people that they'd like to challenge or play with, and I've never really had that, so I hadn't really given it much thought. I've actually played a lot of people now. I've played, you know, just about everyone I can think of in the community that that I recognize or that was, you know, quote unquote a big Poke YouTuber. I suppose a few people to name that I want to play at some point. I want to play Black Blastoise. I have not actually ever got a chance to play him because he's kind of an OU whore, and I play the lower tiers more. But I feel like because we don't really see eye to eye on some of the issues, like the fact that he's not a fan of NU at all and stuff like that, I feel like, you know, we've been deprived of that experience where once you've played someone in Pokemon and you're, you know, having all these conversations in the Pokemon community, I feel like there's like a little bit of mutual respect there for like players that, you know, recognize one another as, you know, good competitive players. And I think that mutual respect is kind of strengthened once you play somebody and, you know, you're in the hot seat and you realize that they're not just, you know, big with no skill, because I know that that is an issue for some people. Kashif, or Sucker for Jessica, sort of on the same note, but not particular. I don't know if he's only an OU horror or whatever. I don't know if he plays any lower tiers, but I've just never gotten the chance to battle him, so maybe that would be cool. Other people that I would like to battle in the community, that's such a good question. I feel like I should go to Pokemosh Pit real fast, just so I can like look at the directors list and see if anything sparks my mind. Who else have I not played? I've never played Mephisto. I've never played Revolution 1600. Not that, I mean, no offense to them, they're great guys and everything, but I'm not exactly like dying to play them or anything. I haven't played Magnitude or Armthrow or Amazing, so I guess I haven't played a lot of people. I've played a lot of the people that I'm familiar with. I've played, you know, Spade, I've played Quandran66, I've played NBZ, I've played Shofu, I've played BlameTruth, I've played Wild Chase and Xenon, and I've played MTG Xerxes. I'd say, to summarize the question again, going back to the home base with it, and sorry for this scatterbrained answer, I think that the people I would really like to play, I'd really like to play MTG Xerxes again, because we played in this kind of hodgepodge mixed tier battle, and I think it'd be a fun opportunity to get a chance to play him again, a little bit more structured. Maybe playing Xenon 3120 again. It's been a while since I've gotten a chance to duke it out with him, and we haven't played in 5th gen, and I feel kind of bad because he's, you know, approached me a couple of times asking if I wanted to have a fun battle with him on 5th gen, and I don't really have the pokes and the teams like set up right now on my 5th gen account or card or whatever, so I need to kind of get down to business with that. And that's just a few people, I guess, that I'd like to duke it out with. I know that there's others that I think would be really cool to play and all that kind of stuff. I actually, to be honest, I have the most fun, generally speaking, playing people that don't know me. If I'm playing just a random person and they see me just as a random person, and we just have a nice, fun battle, and that's it from start to finish. Because I feel like one of the downsides to being slightly more prominent on YouTube is that it's sometimes a lot more difficult just to have a fun battle with somebody, and I should probably do an LTP episode on this, but you know, it's just like people always seem to wanna, I don't know, they're not really as concerned with having fun with the battle, but I'm not going to go too into that right now, perhaps later. And what YouTuber do you enjoy battling the most? That's also a question I thought was really interesting because I do battle a lot of people on a regular basis, actually. And to name some of the people that I have the most fun battling, I suppose I really feel like I should give a few people some words here. Elmas Swelto 5150. He is a great guy. I'm gonna leave a link to his channel. He actually has a new channel, I think, now. I'll link the appropriate one. But he and I go way back to when I first joined a T-Flare, which is, well, before I ever had any 100 subs on YouTube or anything like that. And you know, he and I were considered quote-unquote the NU whores of T-Flare. And I think T-Flare was slightly more active at the time. I'll leave a link to T-Flare as well. I think it's a really underrated or unknown place or something, because it's really a really nice interface to get battles. I prefer it I much more prefer it than going to a ZAT, although I do like TPX a lot these days. But anyway, the point is, Almost 5150, or whatever his new name is someone I go way back with. We always have fun battles. We're always really back and forth. I feel like I've slightly gained. I feel like as I got a little bit better, because I played him when I was first starting out, perhaps it sort of swinged in my favor. I actually just battled him earlier today in 5th Gen UU, and I made a pretty annoying misplay that I didn't even want to finish the battle because it would have been really long. That's the other thing about Elmas and I. We both have really defensive play styles, so sometimes our battles can be really long. But he's a really cool guy. Let's see, who else? Jake the Raichu. Leave a link to him as well. He's one of my buddies, also from T-Flare. He and I go way back. I've had a lot of battles with him. He's like original, but not to the point where it's like ridiculous. You know, he does some cool things, and I do some cool things, and I can just relax, have a battle with him. It's no big deal. Like, it's just fun, you know? And that's really what I enjoy about the game. Who else can I say that I enjoy battling the most? I mean, I'm not going to say a single one person. Tony Flygon. Definitely Tony Flygon. I'll leave a link to him as well. He and I have we have a very cat and mouse, you know, thing when we play. You know, we're usually joking around, trying to guess each other's predictions, and when something happens in the battle, we can just like we can identify what just happened, like did somebody just predict something, etc., etc. And it's just a really fun experience to me. I don't know. So those are probably a handful of the people that I like to battle. Moving on, let's go ahead and check it out. Which Pokemon is the most nostalgic for you? I already answered that. My answer is Venusaur or Bulbasaur, because it is, you know, the line that I started with in the game, so, you know, that kind of makes sense. Which Pokemon do you dislike the most? That's kind of a funny question. It's kind of funny that I had those chronologically in order right after each other, because my least favorite Pokemon is sort of the antithesis of my most nostalgic Pokemon. My least favorite being Charizard. And I know that a lot of people want to slap my shit right now because, you know, a lot of people are big Charizard fans, but I really dislike Charizard. Not only do I dislike it because it's 4 times weak to Stealth Rocks and all the competitive reasons, one of the very first times I ever played Pokemon competitive, like I think my very first competitive Pokemon NU battle, someone used a Bellizard on me, and I don't even think that they ended up winning. My memory's really bad. I don't think I was using Sharpedo at that time, but I think I had a Scarfer that ended up securing me the game anyway. But or maybe it was a Life Orb Hitmonchan. I don't know. I think it might have actually been a Hitmonchan, but Charizard is just so annoying. I just don't like him. It's not even the competitiveness. It's not even the Bellizardness or the weak to Stealth Rockness. It's just him as a design. First of all, I guess I should just say some things that I do not like in general when it comes to games and anime and stuff. And it sounds so weird, but I don't like fire, I don't like dragons, and I don't like swords. I feel like those 3 things are 3 of the most overdone things. I feel like people put them into their series or into their games or into their shows specifically because they think it's going to win them cool points. Like if you just throw something on fire, it's going to magically be cooler. Or if you give something a cool, a quote-unquote cool sword, or if you just throw a dragon in there, it somehow becomes better. And like, it just kind of, it's not my style. I guess the biggest way to say it's not my style. I mean, obviously, I do think there are cool dragons or cool swords, but as a general statement, just throwing it into something doesn't make it cooler to me. And I feel like too many series or whatever try to do that. So, out of every tier, what Pokemon do you prefer to use? So, what Pokemon do I like to use the most from each tier? That is such an awesome question. I'm gonna go by 4th gen tier standards here, since I don't have the 5th gen ones all completely compartmentalized and memorized, especially since they're just rough outlines based on usage stats anyway. But this is off the top of my head, so forgive me if I don't even know. It's not like I can mess up with my own opinion, right? But in NU, I'm gonna have to go with Sharpedo. I love using Sharpedo. I feel like he's the perfect 6th man slot on almost any team. He just wrecks. He completely is a great late game sweeper that you don't need to set up with as long as you've done appropriate damage and taken out appropriate checks. And Sharpedo is just such a monster. In UU, actually, I'm gonna count NFE as well. Even though I don't really play much NFE, I've only played it a handful of times, and I know there are a lot of people that really hate NFE. I'm gonna say Munchlax. The team that I normally use in NFE is what I'm trying to say is a Trick Room team actually, and Trick Room team Munchlax, Life Orb with Double Edge, Pursuit, Self-Destruct, and something else is such an amazing set. And I freaking wreck house. I fucking wreck shop with that. In fact, I should do an SOS set. an SO set on that. I think I will actually. That's kind of funny. But so that's gonna be my NFE. Sharpedo for NU. For UU, that's another difficult question. For me, I feel like Moltres is probably the best UU Pokemon. I honestly think that. Even with the Stealth Rock weakness, I feel like Moltres is just such a complete and utter machine. But I'm not going to pick Moltres as the one I like to use the most. I think I'm going to have to say Blastoise. I really like using Blastoise in UU. I think he's the best UU Rapid Spinner. I'm not a fan of Donphan, really. I know that he's pretty much the better version of Sandslash, and Sandslash is so completely necessary in NU. But I don't know. I like Donphan as a poke, like as a design. I think he's cool. Competitively, I'm not really a fan. I just love Blastoise more, and it's just my thing. He's such a good spinner. I love my set with Rapid Spin, Aqua Jet, Roar, and Rest, because if you have Toxic support, that set can do really great damage by roaring out on pokes that can't really do too much to it, by resting up for stall, and then using Heal Bellers and Clerics. And that entire Cleric, Rest, Sleepy Cleric style is something I kind of picked up on when I first started. And Xenon 3120, who I watched a lot, utilized that sort of thing. And I've kind of evolved a bit from my older styles into a more, not completely as defensive team style, but I just really still like that old school Rest Cleric combo. So that's UU. I mean, Hitmontop is also up there. Hitmontop's actually one of my favorite Pokemon now that I think about it. I should have said that. I'm getting so off track here though. BL, I'm gonna count BL anyway because I don't care, because I'm awesome. I'm gonna have to go with, I think, assuming that there hasn't been a tier change or whatever, Crobat. I'd fucking love Crobat. For OU, I'm gonna have to go with Scizor. Even though Scissor's completely overused, it's overused for a reason. Steel types in general are just really good, and the fact that he gets such powerful priority, if not the most powerful priority in the game with Technician and Stab and Bullet Punch and Monstrous Attack, and the fact that he gets Stab U-Turn. So yeah, Choice Band Scissor or SD Scissor, either or, is just really, really awesome, and I love to use it. It was on my very first team back slightly before I think Scissor was as overused, but I don't know, I think it was still pretty overdone. And in Ubers, I don't really play Ubers at all, but I'm gonna have to go, even though I've actually never even played with it in Ubers, but I have to pick it, is Ariados. And then Frosty Pixie, I don't really talk to her very much, but and say what you will about her, but I really love the fact that she's Ariados in Ubers. I've actually seen her do it, and I've seen just the strategy behind it, and just Ariados in general is just a badass Pokemon that is really underappreciated. So it's just seeing it in general, I think, is really cool. So I'm going to have to say that those are my favorite Pokemon from each tier to use. Most problematic Pokemon in the NU tier, that's another question. And that is also a really interesting question. You guys are so awesome. Like, seriously, I love you guys. But, yeah, most problematic Pokemon in the NU tier. That's so subjective, because everyone has their own playstyle, so different Pokemon threaten that playstyle. And also, people have different teams, and for me, I have a couple of regulars, like Hypno and Sharpedo, that repeat, so I have a pretty big bug weakness from that end of the spectrum, but then on other teams, I don't really as much. So it's sort of a differential thing on a tier-to-tier, on a team-to-team basis. But I'll give you a couple of my thoughts on some of these NU Pokemon and what I consider some of the bigger threats. I think that the biggest threat or most problematic Pokemon in NU for me personally is Sandslash, maybe. I know that my teams are usually always have nice checks and counters to Sandslash. For example, I use Surf on Sharpedo over Hydro Pump just so I never can fail at killing a Sandslash, because Surf from Sharpedo always kills Sandslash. Even with no Stealth Rocks, as long as he's not like max special defense. And even then, I don't know, I haven't calced that. But, yeah, Sandslash is really annoying because he's the most reliable Rapid Spinner. And because Stealth Rocks are so important in the NU tier, I do tend to get them up really early. So, I don't know. Sandslash with Wish support can just be really problematic. Especially if the opponent finds a nice way to neutralize my Sandslash. So it gives them the rock advantage and gives them the ability to spin away my rocks. Another Pokemon that's problematic. In some of my teams, depending on the core, a problematic Pokemon can be Kingler, I suppose. Just because Kingler with X-Scissor and Crabhammer after a Swords Dance can be really, really threatening. And a lot of my Pokemon, even that can outspeed Kingler, can't OHKO it. So I feel like a Expert Belt Kingler with Swords Dance would be a nice counter to some of my playstyles and my teams. The reason I don't say Life Orb is because I do have things that can outspeed it but not OHKO it, but it'll kill itself to Life Orb. And Life Orb stalling is one of the main ways I get rid of Pokemon like that. So, I don't know. That's just an idea. That's just one poke that I think is really problematic, I suppose. A question that it sounds, at face value, it might sound kind of ridiculous and like something to skip over, but there are some things I could say about it. How do you know so much about Pokemon? That's kind of a vague question, but I'm gonna assume you mean the more competitive-ish aspect of it, and I'll definitely say Smogon University or Smogon.com. It's where I started. I mean, it's where pretty much everyone started, or everyone should start. It has all the information you need. It has tons of forums with really great advice for team building, for everything. It has a damage calculator. It has set advice, which is really useful, especially when you're just starting. EV tips and things. And yeah, it's just a really, really great resource. I think it has a type chart on there. Cerebi also has a type chart. That's really useful if you're just starting out to make sure you understand all the type matchups, because obviously hitting someone for super effective is a big deal, and making sure you're not getting hit for super effective is a big deal. And it's also important when building your teams and constructing your teams to make sure you don't have overlapping type weaknesses to too much of a degree, and you do have resistances for those types to make sure that your team doesn't have any specific huge gaping holes. Other reasons I know about Pokemon, I don't know. I guess I just played a lot. I do have some experience, even though I've only been playing for a year. Obviously, it's my 1 year special. I do have a fair amount of experience. I've played many games, and you just pick up on things. For example, I remember when I first started, or towards first starting, I didn't really expect Nidoking to have Sucker Punch. And that's one of those things that I would never not expect now. So, or at least, in 4th gen. And 5th gen, they're usually special with Sheer Force, but regardless. What is your favorite nickname you've ever seen on a Pokemon used by you or someone else? That also was such a unique question. When I was thinking getting Pokemon-related questions, I wasn't really expecting some of these. And I'm going to have to say my favorite nickname, period, is fucking Bananas. Because I just named a Gligger fucking Bananas on the fly, and it rolled off the tongue, and I stuck with it ever since, and I'm a really big fan of it. ZZ Master, my Hypno. It sounds like, I don't know, sometimes I could see people thinking it's kind of dumb, but it's just so funny, especially when I switch into like a sleep-inducing attack. Or there's even been a couple times back when I, first started, and I didn't really have access to playing as good of players, and I myself wasn't that good, where people would try to put my Hypno to sleep. Obviously not being conscientious of the insomnia ability. And I just thought it was hilarious because my name was fucking ZZ Master. Like, what are you doing, kid? But, I don't know, it's kind of funny. Other Pokemon nicknames that I think are really badass. BlameTruth has a Sneasel named, like, God Bless You, because it's named Sneasel, like sneezing. Anyway, yeah, if you don't get it, you can just, like, go play in traffic. But that nickname, I think, is really, I thought that was a really funny nickname. I have a Slowking named C Runnings, which stands for Cool Runnings, which is, a reference to the movie, which I thought was really funny. I really like that nickname. Some people have commented that they really like my Land Before Time nickname. Other nicknames, Rocket Man, which is a One Piece reference. I really love almost all my One Piece reference nicknames. I have an old school Arcanine on my first UU tier team named Thousand Sunny, which is really awesome, and that's actually represented on my background. You can see an Arcanine with a Thousand Sunny head, for those of you that didn't know what that was. And yeah, that's just a few of the really, really badass nicknames that I've seen. I have to say another really badass one is Shiftry, or Shift 3, the pound symbol in Rick and I's Scott and Rick vs. the World. Like, Rick is the one that came up with that nickname, and he said it to me, and I was like, the fuck? And when I figured it out, I shat bricks. So, yeah, I thought that was really funny. Where do you get your Pokemon teams is the next question. My Pokemon teams, I all create myself. I do know that there's some other members in the community that like to trade around team ideas, and they like to give teams to each other and stuff. I know Shofu and Black Blastoise have done that before and stuff. Not really so much me. I actually just did work on a 5th gen UU tier team with Wild Chase, but that's more of, I don't know, that's kind of a collaborative effort. And then same with Rick, we do our Scott and Rick vs. the World series, and we make teams together, and I find that to be incredibly fun. But I actually make all my own teams. Other than that, I don't like have any outside information other than like Smogon and stuff for checking moves or like checking type synergies and stuff. But Yeah, really awesome. I'm actually planning a little project to help some of you guys out with team building if you're having trouble with it. So be patient on that end. Why do you play NU/UU? Will you put up any other kind of battles? That's the question. I've actually already put up other kinds of battles, as you can see on my channel. I posted 3 5th gen battles, not too long ago, which is all standard or OU. I have a few OU battles trickled along the way throughout my channel. My first battle was OU. I've had a couple other OUs along the way. I had some NFE battles. There was a period of time where I was around 300 subscribers where I tried out NFE to see if I liked it. It's okay. A lot of people bash it. I think it's decent. It's just a fun break, I guess, to me. Other kinds of battles. I tried Ubers once, and it just really bored me. Like, I don't know. I'm not really a fan of Ubers because I'm not really a fan of just playing with the most broken pokes in the game. It's just not my style. It's not my strategy. Although I did kind of, do some rapage with a Wobbuffet, which was kind of funny and fun for me. But overall, I'm just not really a big Ubers fan. I feel like it's just kind of, the typing is all just really messed up, and it's mostly special attackers, and the game is just a lot less balanced and fun in the Ubers. And that's kind of how it is. It's not really meant to be balanced. It's not designed that way. It's designed to be a ban list for OU. And like I just said, I've done some OU battles before. I'll probably do some in the future for 5th gen. But OU, as it stands normally, the metagame just seems really just off to me. And it's just the metagame, I suppose, in OU seems really centralized around direct threats. Like, every team needs a Ferrothorn counter, etc. I like teams that are more like, every team needs a counter for this type of scenario, not this specific Pokemon. I feel like those, like, that hit list mentality just kind of sucks some of the fun out of the game. And when you combine that with some of the other aspects of it, it just becomes a bit dreary and trite for me. But that's sort of just my style. Also, since the list is so low, because there's only so many Pokemon that are viable in OU, as compared to the lower tiers, there's larger set lists for more variety of team building. Okay, sorry about that. And actually this is the last question, and we're actually approaching almost the 40-minute mark. Wow. If you guys freaking made it all the way here, like, leave a comment or something to let me know so I can give you a proverbial freaking pat on the back, because that's pretty awesome. But the last question is, what is your favorite battle that you've posted? And that question caught me so off guard, as many of these did actually. My favorite battle that I've ever posted, that is really difficult to pinpoint. And I suppose I'll leave a link. It's really hard for me to think of an answer, especially. Sorry, I'm yawning up in this. It's almost 1 in the morning. I don't know why I'm posting this. Well, I do know why, but I'm posting this so much later than I intended. I'm so sorry about that. But I think one of my favorite battles that I've ever posted is probably one of my favorite battles that I've ever posted. I think it would have to be a the guest narration Shofu did for me, I think, was one of my favorite battles versus the MayKarLocomotive, because he's such a skilled player and it was really lengthy and stuff. Even though that one was not narrated by me, I thought it was really awesome. My first battle with BlameTruth, even though there was a bit of hacks, it was a really fun battle, and I think that was one of the first battles where I've kind of upped my game a little bit. It's actually 7 months old, but I think I kind of had upped my game a little bit as far as video quality had gone for that video compared to some of my past ones. So I could see the progression in myself, and that makes it one of my favorites. So I think I'll link those 2 videos And with that in mind, we're approaching the 40-minute mark, and I think that's, you know, time for me to freaking cut it off. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this second iteration. Sorry it took me so long to get it up. As you can see, it takes a bit of extensive time and solitude for me to break away from whatever I'm doing for, you know, almost an hour to prepare the questions and go over everything. But give it a like if you enjoyed, even though most of you aren't here anymore. And hopefully, you know, you had some fun. Check out my Facebook fan page if you didn't already. Link in the description. Link to a few of my buddies, Elmos, Jake the Raichu, and stuff like that in the description. And that's going to be it. So I'll catch you guys later, and fucking bananas.